Can this number predict how long I'll live? It's not a blood test and it's not completely genetic.
It's something your body has been building or tearing down every single day.
And it's called
VO2max.
VO2max.
VO2max. Everyone is talking about
the greatest predictor of lifespan.
Improve your VO2max.
Test called VO2max.
Everything you got.
Everyone may be talking about VO2max, but I wanted to know, what does it actually look like in my body?
So I took 2 VO2max tests this month, and I have a lot of questions. How does a breath of air become this? Why does your body scream for oxygen the more you push? And why are some experts calling this single number one of the strongest predictors of how long you'll live? To answer that, we need to go to a city under your skin. Your body has been playing a city building game. The goal is to build a city that can handle anything. And on this planet, that involves a whole lot of oxygen. You are a mammal on planet Earth, and the fate of an entire city is in your hands. To build a city that can handle anything, you must take this combustion-enabling oxygen molecule from the atmosphere, dock it at the lung port, toss it onto a red blood cell delivery truck, blast it through the power pump, fly down the aorta highway, exit onto the narrow capillary roads, and escort it to a mitochondria factory deep in the industrial district. Detonate that fuel before it's too late. Want a high score?
If you want a high score,
you need to build a city that can get as many combustion-enabling O2 molecules to as many energy factories as possible within 1 minute. This is your VO2max score. So VO2max is your game score, and the higher it is, the more your city can handle. Here's an example to feel what that means. 2 people go on a hike. Twin avatars, same stats. Player A's VO2max is 25. A few minutes in, their city's maxing out. Roads are jammed, smog in the air. They're stopping every few minutes to catch their breath. Player B, VO2max of 50. Their city's cruising at half capacity. Factories are humming and they're chatting the whole way up. Same hike, completely different experience. But why exactly?
First, let's clearly define VO2max.
It's the maximum rate your body can take in and use oxygen during progressively intense exercise.
It's measured by how many milliliters of oxygen each kilogram of your body uses each minute.
At max effort, a 150-pound person with a VO2max of 60 is processing about 4 liters of pure oxygen per minute. But to get these 4 liters of O2, they have to breathe in 150 liters of air.
VO2 is oxygen used, not air breathed. So your body is mining oxygen literally out of thin air. VO2max is an equation, but what it really reflects is coordination.
How much blood your heart can pump per beat.
That's called stroke volume.
How equipped your capillaries are to deliver it, and how efficient the mitochondria in your muscle cells can convert oxygen to energy. It's not one organ, it's the entire system working at once.
And when you understand each part of that system, the score starts to make a lot more sense. Let's start with the part that everyone assumes is the problem.
If you unfolded the air sacs inside your lungs, they'd cover roughly an entire pickleball court, around 80 square meters of surface area, dedicated entirely to exchanging oxygen. So when you feel out of breath, it's tempting to think that your lungs are the bottleneck, but they rarely are. In most cities, the port is already world class. The problem is, we've got a massive pile of O2 cargo sitting on the docks, and only 2 rusty pickup trucks to move it. The bottleneck isn't the port, it's the distribution system. But what does your body actually do with all this oxygen? And why do we want to be able to process so much of it? Your entire body runs on a molecule called ATP. That's energy currency. Every thought, every step, every heartbeat. And your body has 2 ways to make it. First fuel, glucose. Fast, punchy, but the tank is tiny. Second fuel, fat. Massive reserves, but they're heavy and slower to move. Even a lean person carries around 100,000 calories of stored fat.
But here's the thing, neither fuel can do anything on its own.
The factories need one more thing.
Glucose and fat are the logs. Oxygen is the spark that sets the whole thing on fire.
With oxygen, 1 molecule of glucose produces around 30 units of energy. Without it, the backup generators kick on and they produce 2.
That's 15 times less efficient.
Which is exactly why you can run for hours, but only sprint for seconds.
For fat, no spark, no fat burning. So oxygen is critical for the massive amounts of ATP required to power your human life. Which brings us to arguably the most important piece of infrastructure in the entire city.
The power pump. Your heart works harder than any other muscle in your body. It's built to be an energy processing monster.
Muscle cells in your arm might have a few hundred mitochondria per cell. Your heart cells are packed with over 5,000.
Your delivery trucks don't have engines of their own, so they rely on pressure from your heart to push them. With endurance training, your heart literally gets larger, specifically this part, the chamber of the left ventricle. The amount of blood your heart pumps every time it beats also increases because your heart doesn't just beat faster when you're active, it beats bigger.
This is stroke volume. At rest, it's around a steady 70 milliliters per pulse, but as the city's demand spikes, the heart stretches and snaps back, doubling its delivery capacity in a single beat. But oxygen needs a way to get from the pump to where it's needed.
And that's where your roads come in. Most are so narrow that the red blood cells, the delivery trucks carrying your oxygen, have to line up single file. Some gaps are even so tight the cells actually deform to squeeze through.
And waiting at the end of every road,
mitochondria, your energy factories. There are more mitochondria in your body than there are stars in the Milky Way. And over 95% of the oxygen you absorb is used specifically by them.
We breathe for a quadrillion invisible power plants. So heart, roads, factories, that's the city. And when you put effort into building it, things get wild.
In 2018, a research team led by Dr. Benjamin Levine and Aaron Howden published this landmark study. They took middle-aged adults, average age 53, who were sedentary, meaning they had barely exercised in decades, and put them through 2 years of structured exercise training. By the end of the study, the exercise group had an 18% increase in VO2max and significantly reduced heart stiffness, with a major improvement in left ventricular elasticity.
Lo and behold, we were able to reverse the effects of sedentary aging by sustained training at the right dose, at the right time period in the aging process.
20 years of nothing, and the city's still rebuilt. The city responds to what you ask of it. And if you want to stress test your score before the bosses show up, you have to force your city into rush hour.
Steady state mode. Entering rush hour. Smog alert. Cleaning crew deploy. Surpassing critical power. Backup generators on.
If it feels dangerous, you jump up, okay?
Smog critical.
Fight!
This is VO2max, the most oxygen your city can use before the lights go out.
Grid overload.
Shut it down, breathe.
City administrator offline.
And by the way, that heavy breathing after you stop is not just you catching your breath. It's a system reset.
Your body's using that extra oxygen to clear the metabolic wreckage, cool down the city's core, and replenish its energy stores. Scientists call it EPOC.
Everything I've told you so far is about performance, how the city runs, how it upgrades, but the real reason that this number matters has nothing to do with performance.
The purpose of building this system is resilience, because eventually life's bosses come knocking.
Infection. Difficulty level? Annoying. Immune Tourette's. Fire. Boss defeated. City damage 12%. Surgery. Major hit. Recovery mode. On. Allocating all resources to recovery. Boss defeated. City damage 48%.
And then there's the boss that doesn't announce itself.
Our VO2max naturally declines, roughly 1% per year starting in your mid-20s, faster if you're sedentary, slower if you're active.
Which means the city you build now is the foundation for your 70s and 80s.
Build a high enough ceiling now, and even after decades of the aging boss, you still have enough infrastructure to stay active, independent, and mobile.
VO2max isn't just a fitness metric. It's a bank account. And the best time to make deposits is before we need to make withdrawals. My VO2max score on my first test was 67, and my second test, 68.7. But this number is actually not the point. Yes, VO2max is strongly linked to how long we live. But the real question is why? Is it the score itself that's protecting you? Or is it something deeper?
In observational studies, people with higher cardiorespiratory fitness seem to live longer on average. But
researchers tried to understand, was VO2max the cause of those extra years or simply correlated with them?
They used a method called Mendelian randomization and found that the score alone wasn't driving longevity.
Which means VO2max probably isn't extending your life directly. It's a reflection of the things that do.
The score is loaded. It reflects things outside of your control, like your genetics, age, and gender.
But the trend of the score is honest.
And it also reflects things that are largely within our control, like our activity and fitness levels. You can't move the score without building the city, which means when the number goes up, something real changed.
VO2max isn't the win condition. It's the leaderboard that shows you've built something worthwhile. And it's not the only metric worth focusing on.
Muscle strength, grip strength, body composition, sleep. The research on each is clear. They all matter for health and longevity.
Many experts consider VO2max to be one of the most important markers we have because it captures so many integrated systems at once. So how do you actually find your score?
The gold standard is a lab test, like the one you just watched. Devices can estimate it. Their margin of error makes them unreliable for a precise score, but useful for tracking trends over time. But you don't need to go into a lab or have a device to assess your cardiorespiratory fitness. The most accessible free option is the Cooper 12-minute run test. Run as far as you can for 12 minutes, plug the distance into a formula, and get a solid estimate, validated by research.
I put the Cooper test formula and a starter protocol in the description so you can find your score.
My Oura ring says that it can calculate my VO2max with a 6-minute walking test. So I want to see how accurate Oura is compared to the 2 actual lab tests that I've done. So let's go find out. The test was simple. Speed walk as far as possible in 6 minutes. The ring calculates your score by comparing your heart rate and distance against population averages for your age and body stats. Lab said 68.7 and Oura said 43. That's a big difference. Your body isn't static, it's adaptive. VO2max isn't destiny. It's a reflection of your current build, and you're still playing the game. Your city is always there.
Ready when you are.